The day you were liberated and your power fully realized. And before I jump into that, I'm just going to tell you what the definition of liberated means. To liberate means to free, to have freedom. So, when was this miraculous day when you were liberated and your power was realized? I'm going to share that with you in just a second.
Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
But here's the thing. Before that can happen, something else will happen in the physical realm. But let's go back. There's a word that was shared so many years ago. And in this word, here's what the author said. He says, all the days were ordained for me were written in your book before. It says before one of them came to pass or before one of them happened. So think about your liberation. Think about, who you are today. And right now, if you're living in 2021 in the United States, in any part of the world, you can see that people are not liberated. As much as we want to say, man, this is the land of the free, people are not liberated. People are not living a free life. How do I know that? Well, I want you to think about it. How can you recognize that freedom is no longer what we thought it is? Now, if you want to be free, good morning. If you want to be free and be liberated from all the stuff that's happening around you, and let's not talk about how things are happening to me when things are really just happening for you, then we would actually have to do something. Now, before we do something, which, doing before you know who you're going to be is always going to put you in a bad situation. And so we want to make sure that you know who you want to be before you do anything. So in becoming the person that you were created to be, because that's what this is about, you becoming the person that you were created to be. If you could understand, if you could tap into the wisdom that ordained you, that liberated you before, basically someone wrote down who you were. Says, man, you know what, that Jay Moore, that LaKenya, that Carl, just writing down who you are. Like somebody scripted that out, like piece by word, year by year, day by day, and all the way from the beginning to the end. This is a script. And what happens is when we're not actually in the script, then what happens? We don't actually experience this power. Now, I said that your power will be realized. Your power will be realized because we are interconnected. See, your authority is community based, and you actually need to be in other groups and around other people who have different types of authority. Just recently, I was around somebody and she said something that really, I felt like, man, sounds like she may have some authority in an area that I'm growing in. So if I'm growing in this area, then what do I have to do? I've got to allow that authority to be used. This person who has authority on something, hey, good morning, Judy, that has authority, I've got to now connect. Even though I have an authority on something, then I've got to connect. I've got to learn. I've got to go under that authority. See, when you discover how we're all interconnected, then what happens is you're like, oh shoot, like, that person has something that I don't. We don't have to compete. We actually feed off of each other. Have you ever been in an environment where it just felt like, man, when I'm around these people, we're just feeding off of each other? See, that's because your power can't be realized without it actually connecting to the community, without it actually connecting to other people who have different types of authority. Because where I have authority, you have authority, and that authority can help me, vice versa. So it's community based. Secondly, authority is the central nature of your life. Think about this. Central. You went to school, I went to school, and they told us that your degree would be central. Our parents was like, look, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer, go be an accountant. And because those are the best areas for us to go into. And we bought in because maybe our parents didn't even do it. Maybe our parents was like, man, well, you should do what I didn't do. That's typically what parents do. You should do what I didn't do. And so our parents pushed us into this area. And I'm reading this book. Got this book. It's called The Whole New Mind. And it talks about how those traditional areas are actually going away. Though you have to actually become a creator. You were created to create. But in those particular industries, you're not creating anything. You just go in, it's the status quo. You think that's who I am when that is not who you are. The central nature of you is this authority that you're carrying. And in order for this authority to actually become genuine, then we've got to recognize in this quote that I just gave you, it says that all the days ordained for me were written in the book before one of them came to be. So your authority, oh my goodness, think about this. Your authority, your liberation, your freedom was given to you way before. Like before you came to be, before you said a word, before you did anything, you were already free. All right. So as we get ready to wrap this up, you were already free. But now let's come back to the present, because a lot of times, here's what happens in the present. And because I'm sure this has happened to you, it's happened to me. You're in the present, and then we go to the past. We go to the past. Oh man, this thing happened to me. Oh man, life is bad, and I've had all these experiences that are in the past. And then what happens is we're in the present, then we go to the future. Oh, the future looks good. Oh yes. I want the future, but we come back to the present, and then the present is like, we're just like, but I don't know what to do. Has that happened to you? I don't know what to do. Just last night, I was sharing with some people, and I said, look. The thing is that once we have gone into these mistakes, and once we've done things that we've quote unquote failed at, and we haven't used our power, we don't realize how liberated we are already. Then what happens is we keep going through the same cycle over and over and over again. And that same cycle basically starts to define you. Who doesn't want to change that? All right. If you want to change that today, here's how we're going to change that. We're going to change it by realizing that, look, I am not my past. And whatever is in the future is there. But I'm not going to even be thinking about the future, because I'm right now going to act in the present. And in the present means that, all right, I'm Jay Moore, I'm Judy, I'm LaKenya, I'm me. And me was ordained, liberated with power, with a central nature that is here to change my world, not the whole world. Guys, we can't change the whole world. That's already somebody else's job. Somebody else got that job. We are to change our world. Maybe it's just your family. Maybe it's just your job. Maybe it's the business that you're in. But your world. That's where we start. And then if we're going to make some steps, remember we got to do something, right? Let's make sure we know who we're going to be, right? And who you're going to be is that person inside you've been feeling like, man, if I could just do that. Man, I was thinking, man, if I could just speak in public, if I could just be the guy that had something to say that meant something, that was me. I said, well, you know what? Every day I'm just gonna I'm just going to actually focus in on that one thing that I could do that could help me. See, I can't focus on everybody else. This one thing has helped me to discover my own authority. Just by doing one thing. See, you got to find this one thing that you can do, one thing that you do that will build your life. Only one. But you start really tiny, like I explained last night to one individual. I said, look, don't start big. Don't go after a big dream. Go after a little tiny. I'm talking about it's so tiny that you feel like you can do that in your sleep. Then when you do that little one thing, then what happens is you do it again. And then you do it again. And then you do it again. And then from there, you can start getting a little bit bigger. And then one day you're saying, man, I did a podcast every day of the year. Or I did a podcast for 100 days straight. Oh, man, I wrote a book because I did a podcast. Oh, my goodness, I'm doing all these things. But I didn't start there. Because if I would have started writing books, if I started at the podcast, if I started at, building programs, if I started at those, like all the way out in the future, man, you can't start in the future. You start right here in the present with one little tiny thing. So look, you were liberated and your power has already been realized. All right, your job is this. Ask the author what it is that he wants or who he wants you to be. And I'm telling you, the author's going to share it with you and he's going to delegate to you exactly who you are. And from there, life is going to be outstanding. That's all you have to focus on. That is it. So guys, I appreciate you for joining me for another episode of the Account for Your Life podcast. This is Jay Moore. I'm your healthy accountant. What do? I help you to account for your life. God bless, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.